Hello, my name is Lauren Myers. I'm actually just graduated in December of 2020 from UMKC in the University of Missouri, Kansas City. With my art, I tend to focus on the body and human interactions, whether that's real physical touch in the actual human form, also just more figurative, more conceptually. And so particularly with this caller, miniature fictions and truths. I was recently learning about bookbinding, and so then the prompt came to mind of doing something of fiction. And really, I recalled stories I wrote in high school and younger that really were cathartic to me. And so this piece really, I guess, it's like a traveling through time of my lifetime, and there, each piece has paper, fabric, all of the binding that I loved. These fabrics actually come from my mom's collection. She's since passed, and so everything I have of her seems to pop into my pieces every now and then. And it really makes sense for this piece because as it's a collar, I find it like a possession. Initially, it's possession, it's control, but really it's mine. So it's self ownership, possession of my personality and my character. And so being able to learn bookbinding, I was actually challenging myself to work small. And as these are like maybe 2-inch books, I really did challenge myself because typically I get in my head and think I need to go big to make a statement. But I feel a sense of success getting through that block, I guess. And so I found a lot of like joy rewriting my stories. I had never had a diary like saying "Dear Diary" or "Today I," and so it's weird as an adult rewriting these things, and it feels exactly like a diary. And I'm surprised that I'm like turning this uh, personal information and opening it up and sharing it. It's kind of an interesting moment for me. I don't know that it's like super uh, intellectual, but it's very emotional for me. Uh, Thinking through this project, I really wanted to be the wearer of my own identity. And so if I were to take it to an exhibition and be in person with everyone, I would truly love it to be held around my neck. And um, it's a piece, it's like it's a miniature shelf as well, because you can slide the books in and out. And I feel like interactive artwork is like really where I would like to be. And that's the my favorite artwork is when I come up to is when I can go up to a piece and really touch it. I love texture. I love the feel. I love it kind of breaking that wall between artist and viewer. And so when I imagine myself wearing this collar of my books, of my diary, it would be an interaction with people to where I if they feel more comfortable, I can handle it and take it off and hand it to them, and then they open the book and they can see the details of me, and potentially they can then imagine themselves and what kind of stories they would write about themselves or which ones they would recount and refer to when it comes to how moments in life that they might have changed or which they grew from. And so it's also a semicircle, and so in my mind, it's like a cycle. It's a cycle of life, yet also it's a timeline because it starts and ends. And so I have placed the books within the collar. Sometimes it's the term for mm, chronological. Okay. I place the books within the collar in a chronological pattern sometimes, but every now and then, if a viewer does decide to grab from this end or this end, it's a mixture which really creates the full identity of the person, of me. And it's, I love the idea that somebody can take away a piece, yet it's still a collection of me. And once somebody comes up to me and interacts and grabs a book off the collar, they'll be able to hold this small piece, a small piece of what I'm sharing with them. And each book has actually different paper style folding, like accordion, maze, different cutouts are made into them as well. And so when you open it, it can start out confusing depending on the fold of the paper, but that's kind of a part of taking time to get to know somebody. You can unfold this thing, this accordion of information, and then realize what I'm reading inside of this book really it's really common, it's really relatable, all these different things we have to go through, and then even putting it back after you read these details of my life, you just get this feeling of that section of life is also still there, but it can be put away too. In the collar, you'll find a small book named Storytime, and it's a very cathartic piece for me that I didn't know I was writing at the time. I was about 17, about to graduate from high school, and it had been a couple years since my mom passed, but in that book, I wrote about the day, the day I experienced, and the different things I noticed throughout that time, those days of the period of taking care of things and seeing family. And that's, I think, a very common situation that people really react to in various ways. And I was just surprised at myself that I was able to recount that day years later, and still today, I think about it, especially when I was rewriting it. And I rather smile now. I rather smile when I read it because, as I said earlier, it's something that happened. It's something that was of importance, but I can definitely close it for now and understand what happens in life. And I think we can all relate to the idea and the wish to really put some things away, yet know that they have significance. On the collar, you'll see several books. Half of them are filled in, and some of them are blank. The reason why you find some blank book jackets is because they're pre-made and ready for when news stories come along, and if I ever find something like in my storage about something I wrote as a child or anything like that, I'll be able to add it in. And so even though the idea is a chronological order of my lifetime, it's also just bits and pieces to where it's able to grow and increase in size, and maybe even sometimes I'll get rid of a book and just add more or create a whole new set of necklaces to really other wearable art that I can take along with me. And so that's why there are empty book jackets, so that it's a growing piece. It's ever changing, just like we are.